Welcome to Badger Beat. This week we're looking at the University of Wisconsin men's basketball team as it heads into the NCAA tournament. 14th consecutive appearance for the Badgers. They'll face Montana at 1:10 Central Time on Thursday in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Joined here by Tom Oates and Jim Polzine, I'm Adam Mertz with the Wisconsin State Journal and madison.com. Oatesy, the expectations on this program year after year as the Badgers keep going back are high. It seems that people at times can be dissatisfied with anything less than a deep run. Is that unfair, or is that something that this team has created for itself in terms of expectations?
I think the expectation should be high. This program is often a top 4 seed. It's generally not a 1 or a 2 seed, but it's often a 3 or 4 or a 5 seed or something like that. And I think the expectations when you're that high of a seed is that you get to the Sweet 16. Once you get to the Sweet 16, if you look at the brackets in recent tournaments, it's tough to win in the Sweet 16. Anything beyond that is gravy, but when you are seeded where Wisconsin usually is and finish in the Big Ten where they usually do, I think a Sweet 16 is a reasonable expectation.
Jim Polzine, your thoughts on this issue?
Well, the one thing that you can almost see happening is, they win their first game against Montana and then go up against Vanderbilt, a team that just won the SEC tournament title. And if they lose that game, does that make this a horrible season? Does it make it a ruined season? And I think there's going to be a lot of fans out there that are going to view it that way and won't be happy if this team doesn't get to the second weekend. It's just the whole tournament is about matchups, and it becomes a crapshoot. So I think you have to be careful about how you view things. You can't just look at one game and decide on that. So yes, I think this team should make it to the Sweet 16. Will it be a complete catastrophe if they don't? No, I don't think it that way.
Wait, because Bo Ryan was talking about this last night. This is the team that I think there was a lot of question marks going into the season. How good would they be as Jordan Taylor and whoever? And the way things unfolded, they really had to dig themselves out a hole to even get to this point.
Well, absolutely. You still look at it's a team with flaws. I think we can all agree that this isn't Bo's best team. There's a lot of areas that this team isn't great at, and that's why I think to expect this team to get to the second weekend is maybe going a little too far. I just think that the second game against Vanderbilt, if it turns out that way, will basically be a pick-em, and you kind of see which team plays better that day, and that's how it's going to go.
This team, the way it's developed, do you see them as capable of getting a little bit further in? Is it they can lose to anyone, win everyone that people thought, or you think that they've kind of come up the ladder a little bit this last 2 weeks?
Well, I think for most of the Big Ten season, they were a team that if they shot well from the outside, they were going to win. If they didn't shoot well, they were going to lose. I think in recent, maybe the most recent 4, 6, 8 games, something like that, they've started doing some different things on offense that mitigate against a lot of misses from the perimeter. Rob Wilson certainly has helped that with his ability to go to the basket. Other players such as Josh Gosser and Ryan Evans appear to be more, and Jared Berggren appear to be more willing to go to the basket, get the other team in foul trouble, get to the foul line, just develop some kind of a plan B in case the outside shots aren't dropping. So I think Wisconsin right now is a little better equipped to enter this tournament than if this tournament had been, say, a month ago.
Albuquerque, New Mexico, the site of the start of the Badgers run in 2000 toward their Final Four berth. Oatesy, can you talk a little bit about memory lane here? You were there for that one. The other twist is that Freddie Owens, who was a guard for the Badgers in the early part of last decade and came up with a big shot against Tulsa, sent him to the Sweet 16, is an assistant coach for Montana. Adds kind of an interesting twist here to this first-round matchup. Yeah,
the pit is a great old basketball arena. It looks like a barn it looks like a Woodman's from the outside, but once you get inside, it's just a great old compact arena, and it's a terrific basketball arena. But unless you're Kentucky playing in Louisville or Syracuse playing in Albany or something like that, there's really not a lot of atmosphere at these first round games, these first weekend games. And in most of these arenas, there's very little atmosphere. And so I don't know that I expect the arena and the atmosphere to be much of a factor here either way for whoever Wisconsin plays.
Freddie Owens comes in with a real knowledge of what Bo Ryan's trying to get done. You contrast that with what the Badgers have done in the first round, 9-1 under Bo in his time here.
Right, yeah, they've never gone against a team that maybe will know them as well, or an individual that will know them as well as Freddie. I mean, it's got to be strange for Freddie to sit and watch film these last couple days, these last 24 hours, and watch a team that, or watch a program that he played for and try to, dissect how Montana is going to find ways to beat them. So, good for Freddie. And he interviewed here a couple years ago. The job ultimately went to Lamont Paris. Bo said that he just didn't think Freddie was seasoned enough at that point. But, Bo always thought that Freddie could be a coach. I think Freddie's on his way up. He's a young guy in the profession. And, he's at a program that a pretty good mid-major program that has a chance to make a name for itself on Thursday.
What do you see as the key for the Badgers from that respect in that matchup?
Well, Montana's very athletic. They have 4 or 5 guys. Really, I looked at today. Their bench, they don't have much of a bench. Their bench played a total of 9 minutes in the Big Sky Championship game. So they really rely on their starters. That group's a pretty solid group. 5 guys that can all score in double figures. A couple of them scored 23 points in the championship game, and Will Cherry, their leading scorer, wasn't one of those guys. So they have guys that can light it up, and that's probably going to make it tough to prepare for. I mean, the teams that are toughest to prepare for are the teams that are balanced, and that, to me, from the outside, looks like what Montana is.
OT, talk about that matchup, and then also the potential second-round matchup with Vanderbilt, which has been kind of brought up nationally as a game that a lot of people are interested in seeing.
Well, I think everyone, all the talking heads on CBS and ESPN, already have Wisconsin losing. I'm surprised they haven't predicted a score yet, but Jimmy hit on it before, and it's right. It's correct. Vanderbilt is a really good team. I did some reading up on them today from the preseason. They were largely picked for second or third in the SEC behind Kentucky. They have 3 guys who basically made NBA decisions at the end of last season and decided to come back. So they have 3 potential NBA players on their roster, all of whom are veteran players, juniors and seniors. So it's Vanderbilt's a really good team. I think it would be Wisconsin-Vanderbilt would be one of the best second day or second game matchups through the whole tournament. I agree with what Jimmy said before. I think it would be almost a toss-up, be a terrific game, clash of styles. So you can't. Wisconsin's a 4 seed. But Vanderbilt's a 5 seed. Vanderbilt's in the SEC, finished, tied for second in the SEC after Kentucky. Wisconsin finished a game behind the leaders. There's just not much difference between these teams should it get that far.
That was a nice dance, too, on second day or second game, because this whole second round and third round terminology by the NCAA is killing me with the first round stuff.
The NCAA is trying to get away from the play-in game, and it's a stigma. So you see all the CBS announcers are all trained to say that those games in Dayton are first round games, and that Wisconsin, Montana is a second round game. Well, to me, those are play-in games. So kind of like an NFL exhibition game. They want you to say preseason games. I'll say exhibition game, okay? More accurate.
Before we've been talking a lot about Vandy. I want to make sure we don't forget Harvard.
Yes.
Because everybody knows there's always a 12-5 upset, and maybe 2 of them. So Vandy, the thing about Vandy is they've got a couple of really bad losses this year. Lost to Cleveland State, lost to Indiana State. So, they're certainly, they're not a team that I would absolutely put through to the next round. Wisconsin's caught some breaks before, too, in that first round on the other side. They've gotten some upsets go their way. And so let's not rule out the possibility of Wisconsin winning this game and then going against Harvard in the second game, because, especially with the Jeremy Lin angle, I don't want to look too far ahead, but it just seems like a story in the making with maybe a Harvard over Vandy upset.
Sounds good, and next week we'll bring you back here if the Badgers are still around. We'll talk about the rest of the region. Enjoy our coverage all week on madison.com.